Bank of America just issued a report on the Dominican Republic. Two, actually. And on the surface, they're completely contradicting. However, they're equally important. In today's video, I'm going to share with you what those two reports said, what they mean for the Dominican Republic, and how investors can interpret this information as they consider getting involved down here. Let's dive in. My name's Jamie Gruber. I moved here to the Dominican Republic in 2022 with my family after quitting a $400,000 a year corporate job in the United States. And on this channel, I share all about living, investing, traveling, and overall lifestyle here in DR, including economic and political analysis that hopefully helps investors make better decisions when they're looking to buy down here. Now, the first report from Bank of America came out actually in March. And if you only read the headlines, it would sound as though they were very bearish on DR. They downgraded GDP growth forecasts. They talked about a sluggish recovery for the economy. They talked about the dependence on tourism, energy shocks, oil prices, the need for fiscal reform, and for power reform, electricity. And if you stop there, you would walk away thinking, see? Dominican Republic is slowing down. But then, 2 months later, in May of 2026, Bank of America comes out and essentially says,
by the way, we think Dominican debt is attractive and investors should still be looking at the Dominican Republic.
And this is where people are missing the story, because the two reports are not contradictory. Together, they actually explain exactly what's happening in the Dominican Republic right now. I'm gonna explain. So here's a hot take. The Dominican Republic is not perfect, but it's also having its moment. And the real question is, what does the country do with the moment that it's getting, that it has, that it's in this lane, this thing that's happening right now? Because what Bank of America is really saying is that the Dominican Republic has real weaknesses, and it's one of the most resilient, politically stable, and investable countries in all of Latin America. That's the story. And it's a rare story, because here's why. Most people, especially Americans, live in extremes nowadays. Either DR is paradise, or this place is doomed. But sophisticated money, real money, doesn't think like that. Real money, sophisticated money says, okay, what are the weaknesses of this investment? Are they figure-outable? Can they be solved? And is that investment stronger than the alternatives where I could place my money? And right now, the answer appears to be yes. And there are a few reasons for that nobody's talking about right now. The first one is this. People think that the Dominican Republic story is just about tourism. Here's the truth. Tourism is becoming infrastructure. Tourism drives airports, roads, foreign currency inflows, luxury development, medical tourism. More on that in another video coming soon. Sports tourism, real estate, hospitality training, international investment, and really just global visibility as a reliable place. It's attracting dollars. And when a country or organization attracts dollars, that country or organization becomes more resilient. That's part of why when there are shocks in the world, in the economy, in DR, the DR keeps bouncing back. Now, does the country have vulnerabilities? Oh, yeah. As the 80s kid in me would say, no doy. Over-reliance on tourism? Check. Power reform needed? Oh, check. Especially in areas outside of Punta Cana and other developed hubs that have stable electric. Fiscal reform in order to move up the ladder on credit rating? Absolutely, it needs that. Do oil and gas shocks impact the economy? They definitely do. But most countries in Latin America are dealing with those same issues right now. But they're dealing with those same issues without the same level of momentum. And this is where the DR really becomes interesting, kind of geopolitically, if you will. Stay with me now, because I think one of the most underrated advantages that the Dominican Republic has is not the beaches, it's not the tourism, it's proximity plus psychology. We're gonna go deep now. You ready? Oh, I always forget this. If you're getting value from this channel, from this video, and there's more value to come, I promise, hit that subscribe button. It helps me grow this channel, trying to get to 100,000 by the end of 2026. Would love to have you along for the ride. Here's the thing. The Dominican Republic is close enough to the United States to feel safe. And Americans, I'm an American. I know what that feeling is. I want to feel safe. I want to feel like I'm going someplace that I'm going to be safe. It's a 4-hour flight, shorter if you're coming from Miami. It's in the Eastern time zone. There's a massive Dominican diaspora up in the US and Canada. You have American tourism, American real estate buyers, American business influence, American brands, familiar culture, baseball, a dollarized mindset. It feels international without feeling too foreign. And that, my friends, is a massive advantage for this particular country. I mean, look at the rest of the world. Mexico is struggling with cartel violence. Europe is becoming more expensive. And to move to a place like Singapore or Taiwan, for many Americans, is just a bridge too far. The DR sits in this weird spot. It's affordable, it's accessible, it's familiar, it's beautiful. Not me, back there. I mean, I'm all right. And it's politically stable, especially relative to the rest of the region. One of the things that people don't get about DR is that there are 3 major parties and none of them are populist. So elections here and political power here is more a decision of who is going to execute on the agenda of all the parties best. You're choosing the best executioner, the guy or gal who's going to do it the best. More than you're choosing, do we have open borders or do we not? Are we pro-life or are we pro-choice? That's America, Canada, that's the developed world. Here it's, we all agree that this is the best direction for the country, but I'm the best one to execute it. Let me explain why. But the next thing I'm going to tell you is probably the most underrated thing about the Dominican Republic. Dominicans are incredibly adaptive, not systematic, not hyper-efficient, not even close, adaptive. Americans, Canadians often see informality, improvisation, and decentralized systems as weakness, when really here, those systems are more anti-fragile. Dominican Republic bends, it doesn't break. And that matters during crises. Businesses reopen quickly. Tourism rebounds quickly. People figure things out quickly. I'll never forget after Hurricane Fiona, we were here only a month, and the next day, the amount of people that showed up and cleaned up, it blew my mind. Don't have a truck to put the plywood on? No problem. 4 guys will get in a Honda Civic, stick it on the roof, no tie downs, and just hold it with their hands. Incredibly resourceful people. I actually saw that. That was inside of Cap Cana. Crazy. There's a resilience here that's difficult to quantify on paper, although Bank of America is kind of doing it. Think about that. In any other way, if you were to look at the country, where their credit rating is and so on, why would Bank of America say buy more of their debt? They're quantifying this resilience. Honestly, it's part cultural, it's entrepreneurial, it's part survival instinct, it's part community structure. It's really incredible. But here's the big one that I don't think people appreciate enough. It's many of you watching this right now. Dominican diaspora, probably the biggest secret weapon of the Dominican Republic, because the Dominican diaspora is not just any longer sending remittances, which is a big part of the economy here. They're now investing, buying second homes, retiring here, starting businesses, bringing American dollars, US income into the country. They're bringing expectations to the country, connections to the country. And in real time, you see the diaspora reshaping this economy. And truthfully, you have been for a long time. So things like this report from Bank of America are simply saying all that time, energy, and money invested that all of you, Dominican diaspora, have put down here, it's starting to pay off. It's starting to gain momentum, and it is massive. Look, most countries lose their diaspora permanently, and that's just not Dominicans. If you aren't Dominican until you move here or are married to one like I've been for 16 years, been together 17, crazy. You can't appreciate the pride that these people take in being Dominican. I'm an American. I'm a prideful American. But we think we have pride as Americans. Wait till you meet a Dominican. I mean, look, there are Dominicans who have never been in the Dominican that are prideful about being Dominican. Dominicans abroad stay emotionally connected to this country. And now, as the Dominican Republic is modernizing before our eyes, the diaspora become a gigantic economic flywheel. And I don't think people truly understand how powerful that's been and how powerful that will be over the next 10 to 20 years. There are articles written today about venture capital from the diaspora finding its way to DR. Add on to that investments from Google, NVIDIA, DP World, and many others. And you're watching an economy be built in real time on the back of not only its people in country, but on those that are connected to the country who live elsewhere. Now let's combine all of that with another trend that's driving some of this. I need to move the camera so you have a different angle. This is a YouTube trick. Watch what happens. Nearshoring. Huh? Nearshoring. The U.S. is rethinking supply chains in real time. The tension with China is rising. Companies want manufacturing closer to home. Trump and Xi just met recently. And to be honest with you, the best result, in my opinion, that can come from that is further economic entanglement between the two countries. Just split the world. You're the two superpowers. Do it. But DR is so close to the United States. It's the superpower that it's going along with. And I think that's the right move. Look, DR is close to the U.S., politically aligned with the U.S., relatively stable, strong tourism cash flow. It has these expanding Zona Francas, free trade zones that are just becoming an economic major driver in this country. You have growing infrastructure, enhanced airport connectivity with the Open Skies Agreement in place. There's port access and more coming. And DR has more increasing strategic relevance to the United States. I mean, look, China owns 80% of all rare earth material in the world. And China has multiple spaceports around Latin America. China's influence in places like Chile, Argentina, Panama, Venezuela, Colombia are far greater than their influence in the Dominican Republic. So for a superpower like the United States, who has the economic viability to drive a country like this forward, DR saying, hey, we'll hitch a ride with you, we'll be your partner, because we know how much you need us, is a smart strategic move. All of this is why Zona Franca, manufacturing expansion, rare earth minerals and rare earth materials, and even mining conversations are important right now. Not advocated for, but they're important, especially mining. Mining is controversial, big controversy in San Juan recently here in DR. President shot it down because of the will of the people, which is a good move. But look, from a geopolitical perspective, the world is entering like a resource competition era as we speak. So countries with strategic resources and alignment with the U.S. become important. My analysis, but truly economic reality. But there's another element that's really interesting as well that's benefiting DR right now, and that is luck. Mexico cartel violence has absolutely pushed tourism to the Dominican Republic, which is offsetting the increasing fuel prices, creating downward pressure on tourism. Prices go up, people travel less, but they don't stop traveling. But at the same time, what happened in Mexico pushes people to DR, therefore offsetting the oil change price. Not advocating for that, I feel bad for Mexico, but that is luck for the Dominican Republic. Spirit Airlines recently went under, just stopped flying, bankrupt, done, out of business, and they happen to not be a very big player in the Dominican market. Easily made up for with other airlines, including the Dominican's own airline, Aerojet. And the DR has been on the right side strategically of where they're trying to go with tourism. Right now, the focus is on luxury, sports, medical, and long-stay tourism, along with higher-end development of real estate assets here. I mean, I'll tell you this fact. Argentina has quadrupled the amount of people that come to DR because of the length of that flight, 7-8 hours. Argentinians stay longer, spend more per day, and travel around the country more, off the all-inclusives, than most other populations. And you got 4 times as many of them coming now. So whether people agree with the strategy of upmarket tourism, higher-end development, sports, doesn't really matter. It's working. Point blank. Now, that doesn't mean that there's not danger in them waters, because the DR's biggest risk may actually be its own success, as crazy as that might be. Not collapse, overheating. That means building too fast, infrastructure lagging, an affordability crisis in smaller towns. I went to Cotuí. I see what true gentrification looks like. People say it's happening in Punta Cana. Like, no, Punta Cana was built to be gentrified. Go to Cotuí, go to some other markets out there, and you'll see what that really looks like. You've got traffic, you've got a power strain, you've got water as an issue. You have speculative real estate pricing in some areas. You have overdevelopment in some areas. Frank Ranieri, founder of Punta Cana, recently talked about segments of the Punta Cana area developing faster than the infrastructure and the danger of that. All of this stuff is real risk, which creates the need for nuance, my friends. Everything in DR is not winning, but the growth is also not unsustainable. It's not fake. I think the right take on this, and I've said this before, hopefully it makes sense, is DR is entering the most important period it's had in its modern history. And if it modernizes intelligently, continues to focus on infrastructure, or at least has the conversations around infrastructure that lead to the focus on infrastructure, handles growth carefully, and continues to strengthen institutions to the point where an institution like Bank of America says, buy more of that debt, it has the chance to become one of the most impressive, incredible stories in the entire Western Hemisphere. Not because it's perfect, but because relative to all the alternatives, it is positioned better than most people will give it credit for. And I honestly think that's really what Bank of America was saying. Look, I talked about luxury as the next wave for the Dominican Republic, and I did a full tour of Santo Domingo, the capital city, and a luxury building there as well. Tap on that video right here to take a look at that and see what real luxury looks like, especially at a fraction of the cost of similar markets elsewhere. Check that out. I'll see you on the next one.